Welcome to Heralding the Great Upshift. Heralding the book, The Great Upshift by Ervin Laszlo and David Lorimer. A book from the Light on Light Press, released October 24th, 2023, with important contributions of moment by 35 international thought leaders. I'm Dr. Kurt Johnson, a managing director at Light on Light. The book's full title is The Great Upshift, Humanity's Coming Advance Toward Peace and Harmony on the Planet, Roadmaps for Planetary Activists. And it is available at all booksellers as noted at lightonlight.us. In this program, we'll be joined by Dr. David Lorimer and Dr. Ervin Laszlo, and also by John Raymer of One World and the Sign Network, and Dr. Robert Atkinson, a three-time Nautilus Award winner, who is Acquisitions Director at Light on Light. On The Great Upshift, Deepak Chopra writes, "This book is a prescription for a more peaceful, just, sustainable, healthier, and joyful world." And Jean Houston writes, "In reading this luminous book, you become empowered to bring forth the unread vision of the higher dream as we close the door on the ways that no longer serve." And Greg Braden says, "The Great Upshift leads us to awaken to a heartful world based in love rather than a bleak future from fear." This book from The Great Upshift follows on Dr. Laszlo's earlier book this year from Light on Light, The Survival Imperative, Upshifting to Conscious Evolution. So we also call your attention to that book as well. And we want to invite you also into another video program hosted by Unify, unify.org, which features Dr. Ervin Laszlo, Deepak Chopra, Greg Braden, Jean Houston, Neil Donald Walsh, Robert Atkinson and me from Light on Light, Reverend Deborah Moldow, the director of the Evolutionary Leaders, and Tammy Scarlett of Unify and the Upshift Movement. We'll tell you more about that program later in this broadcast. So let's begin setting the stage for the amazing content in this book, The Great Upshift, by John Raymer of One World and the Sign Network, sharing this piece from Dr. David Lorimer, the poem, The Golden Path, which eloquently captures and represents the vision and content of this amazing book, The Great Upshift. So over now to John Raymer.
The Golden Path by David Lorimer. Setting out from afar, we are tasked to undertake a journey, to follow our golden path into the evolution of life. Wandering along, we look out for something, when first we need to look inside for stillness. Content in silence within, we can proceed with surer step along the path, present in and to the moment. Sometimes we simply stumble. We lose the path, forgetting who we are and where we're going. Just wait and trust. Don't think, don't stress, don't rush around. Listen to the quiet voice of your heart, the heart that knows, the heart that deeply feels. Only then can the golden path appear, and in no time you'll find yourself at home, at the center of the evolution of life and love.
Thank you so much, John Raymer. And let's go over now to David Lorimer for an introduction of Ervin Laszlo.
My guest today is Professor Ervin Laszlo, who I've known for many years. Ervin spent his childhood in Budapest and was a celebrated child prodigy on the piano, with public appearances from the age of 9. He received a grand prize at the International Music Competition at Geneva which meant he could leave Hungary and begin an international concert career, first in Europe and then in America. Shifting to the life of a philosopher and systems scientist, he's lectured at various universities in the US, including Yale and Princeton. He's the founder and president of both the Club of Budapest and the Laszlo Institute for New Paradigm Research. He's the author, co-author, or editor of over 100 books that have been published in a total of 25 languages. Ervin Laszlo has also written several hundred papers and articles in scientific journals and popular magazines, and he's a member of numerous scientific bodies, including the International Academy of Science, the World Academy of Arts and Science, the International Academy of Philosophy of Science, and the International Medici Academy. And he was elected a member of the Hungarian Academy of Science in 2010. Ervin was awarded the Sorbonne's highest degree, the Doctorat et Lettres et Sciences Humaines, in 1970, and has received honorary PhDs from the United States, Canada, Finland, and Hungary. He was the recipient of the Peace Prize of Japan, the Goi Award in 2001, of the International Mandia Peace Prize of Assisi in 2005, and of the Luxembourg World Peace Prize in 2017, and was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize in 2004 and 2005.
Thank you so much, David Lorimer. And now over to Ervin Laszlo.
So you asked me to talk a little bit about the upshift. The upshift is my dedication, my mission. Some people will say my hobby, but it is what I believe in that is going to come. It's our deliverance, it's our salvation, because going the way we have been going would be suicidal. We will always only increase tensions. The environment will continue to deteriorate. Less and less peace would be on Earth, more and more conflict, culminating in war. God knows in what kind of situation we will find ourselves. We are full of tipping points where irreversible processes may be starting. This is not an assured existence on this planet. Humanity is a very complex species. It's a tremendously accomplished species due to one thing above all. That one thing is called consciousness. I do believe that all things have consciousness, but not all things have this ability to reflect on their consciousness, to understand that they are conscious and that their consciousness could be a factor in how they behave, just as their behavior is a factor in the future that we have, that we all have. This is a participatory and living universe, not a chance-ridden universe. Random processes would never have brought about this level of articulation and coherence that we find in the universe as a whole. It all started 13.7 or 8 billion years ago with a singularity which may be just the beginning of a new phase, or maybe something completely new, but anyway, what we live in now is an evolution that started at that point. And it keeps going. And this evolution is toward coherence, is toward integration, is toward pulling together various elements into wholes. All seems very, very spiritual. How come the universe is so spiritual? Well, it is. Einstein said it very clearly. The greatest miracle is that the universe is so coherent and that it's quasi-miraculous itself. You can live your life as if everything is a miracle or as if nothing is. We used to think nothing is a miracle. Now we're beginning to see that everything is, and we are beginning to understand some of that miracle. Our job is to put that understanding to work. We are one species among many on a system we call Gaia. It's a system of life on the planet. It's a system of which we are a part. We were born in the womb of that system, and that is our mother system. That is our nurturing system. In this system, we either become part of it, a positive, constructive part, or we risk our extinction. not only do we risk extinction of all higher forms of life, we have a mission in front of us, the mission to preserve this species. And to do so, we need to make use of that unique feature, which is reflective, self-reflective, self-mapping consciousness. Consciousness that we are conscious and that we are an agent of what happens in this world. We used to think that everything is due to mechanical laws, eternal laws, the four basic shifts, so four basic interactions in the universe, the laws, causality, electromagnetism, and strong and weak interactions, that these laws are all there is, and those are eternal. And everything else follows on that basis. Well, there's more to it. There's more to it. There is a vector, a difference, a direction in the universe. And this direction, it takes it from those random swirls of perfect gases, non-interactive gases that were present as the only thing on this space and time that we call our universe, from that moment of total chaos, total randomness, toward a universe that has coherence, that has oneness, and that brings together its elements in ever larger, ever more conclusive wholes. If you realize that we are part of that, we look at ourselves and of our universe very, very different eyes. We are not a mechanical chance byproduct of a world that is a mindless world in which there is no sense for talking about mind and consciousness and spirit. That is not the case. The case is that this is a conscious universe, a participatory universe. Perhaps the whole universe is a cosmic consciousness. Certainly James Jeans, well over 100 years ago, the famous astronomer, said that this universe appears to be more like a big thought than like a big rock. And that was well over 100 years ago. That was before the quantum sciences. Now we know, indeed, this universe is very much like a big thought. It's like a big consciousness. We are a part of it. If we want to survive in this world, the key to survival is to recognize who we are, how we relate to the world, how we can interact with the world, how we can behave mistakenly by trying to just get outside of the natural limits, outside of the natural impetus toward wholeness and oneness and coherence, just looking at our own ideas, our own immediate benefits, and disregarding the rest. How we do that, how we degenerate the world around us, how we create more and more conflict, more and more unrest, and ultimately breakdowns. That is the current trend, and that has to be reversed. That has to be upshifted. The upshift comes from conscious evolution. Evolution that is infused by consciousness, because we are conscious, and our consciousness is a part of the universal consciousness, the cosmic consciousness, which is not just religion, it is not just pure spirituality, it is the new cosmology, the new quantum cosmology. If you ask me what there is in this world, in this universe, I would say there is information based on the conscious processing of prior information, ever more information, ever on higher and higher levels. That is a tremendous accomplishment to recognize this and to become a part of it. That is a mission. That is our duty. In my books, I try to make clear that this conception is not dreaming. It's not just spiritual imagination. It is the deepest reality that we can confront. It's supported by science. It's supported by spirituality as a lived experience. We are all spiritual beings because we are part of a quantum universe. I consider it my sacred duty to make clear that our consciousness is part of the consciousness of the cosmos, and that it is our duty to bring that consciousness to work on behalf of not only humanity, but of all life, because life is a precious accomplishment, and life on the Gaia system on this planet is one of the rare, probably rare, but certainly not unique features of the universe as it has evolved from the Big Bang to the day in which we now live. How do we evolve further? We can evolve by going through the current trend, which is toward conflict, which is toward breakdown, which is toward short-term thinking, and ultimately selfishness that cannot be satisfied because we destroy the very world that we are trying to act on. Or we can put ourselves back in place where we are a unique being, a conscious being in a conscious universe. If we do that, then that is the key to our survival. That is the key to finding the way forward. I like to talk about the roadmaps. There is a roadmap. There are sets of roadmaps. How we behave, how we create this world, but all of it hinges on how we think of ourselves, our mindset, our recognition of who we are. Upshift the world, for that, you have to upshift yourself. It's all possible. It can be done. Let's do it. Not only it's for our own interest, it's the interest of the Gaia, of life on Earth, and because life on Earth is a precious accomplishment of the universe, it is of cosmic interest. I hope you will join me in looking at this possibility of upshifting by becoming part of a conscious universe.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ervin Laszlo. And just to note that you can hear an expanded version of Dr. Laszlo's message here in the special additional video with Unify that we'll be telling you more about at the conclusion of this broadcast. So now I'm going to introduce you to Dr. Robert Atkinson, another managing director here at Light on Light, and a 3-time Nautilus Award winner for his books, The Story of Our Time, Our Moment of Choice, and A New Story of Wholeness. And he'll give you a brief commentary and tour through both of Dr. Laszlo's 2023 books, The Survival Imperative and The Great Upshift. So over now to Dr. Robert Atkinson.
Hello, this is Robert Atkinson from Light on Light Press and author of The Story of Our Time and A New Story of Wholeness. It's been a real pleasure and honor to work with Ervin Laszlo this year on his 2 new books, The Survival Imperative and The Great Upshift. He's been at the leading edge of systems thinking for over a half-century, bringing into popular discourse concepts like planetary consciousness, which now has its many derivatives, like a consciousness of oneness, or world citizenship, or unitive consciousness. All these terms are the signs of a transformation of consciousness that is quickening the pace of change in the world toward a realization of our inherent harmony, unity, and wholeness. The lifelong work of Ervin Laszlo has contributed so much to our collective and evolving awareness of how tied together all things are, and how critical it is to our survival and well-being to live in this consciousness, so we can be one thriving human family. After more than 100 books, his latest 2 books have an essential and particularly timely message for humanity today. The Survival Imperative addresses humanity's greatest need at this time, raising the level of our individual and collective consciousness to bring about the betterment of the whole. It shows us how to take informed action toward this unfoldment of consciousness. In this book, you will discover the solutions to ensuring the well-being of humanity. It offers scientifically based perspective on where we are, where we're headed, and exactly what is called for at this critical juncture of our existence, which is an upshift to higher levels of order and coherence to keep us on our evolutionary path. This book lays out why this upshift is needed, what inner and outer resources we possess to draw upon, and what the action steps are that will move us toward this achievable vision of well-being and wholeness. An extra bonus is an inclusive list of worldwide conscious organizations that are already contributing to this vision. This book is essential reading for completing the process of global transformation already underway. Jean Houston said of this book, "This is destined to be one of the most important and potent books of our time." And Greg Braden said of it, "Laszlo's book catapults us beyond simply knowing that today's world is in the final throes of a dangerously unsustainable path. It provides a mind map to empowering a new world." What you can expect to find in this book is quite remarkable. From the why, the where to, and the how of upshifting our conscious evolution, to where we are today and where we are going, to why we need to upshift, to the nature of consciousness, which we can upshift to a clear sense of the conscious evolution scenario, to all the steps needed to be taken for informed action, like valuing diversity and upgrading your spirituality. The book culminates with a clear and achievable vision of this new social order. And this is just part of the richness of the survival imperative. And then coming out in October is The Great Upshift, which shows us there is nothing more important right now than peace and harmony on the planet. This vital book addresses this greatest of needs by identifying the specific ways our individual and collective consciousness can and must be upshifted through the participation of all of us. Deepak Chopra said of this book is the prescription for a more peaceful, just, sustainable, healthier, and joyful world. So this is a remarkable book that includes contributions from 35 of the world's leading thinkers who map a path forward to a bright future, taking us beyond today's crisis and conflict-prone world to a higher stage of our evolution. These essays show us new ways to upshift our individual and collective consciousness to ensure the desired resolution of these crises. Ervin Laszlo and David Lorimer, drawing on their holistic expertise and global network, have assembled a stellar cast of world-renowned scientists and visionaries who illuminate where we are today and where we can go from here. They focus on the most burning question of all: how can we upshift ourselves, our ways of healing, of thinking and feeling, and even of intuiting, to respond to the pressing requirements of our time? Their visions empower us to be the change we want to see in the world, to help others be a positive and critical part of the great upshift that has already started. This compendium of insights into solutions for our world, troubled by climate change, conflict, and unsustainable conditions, calls for the conscious participation of us all to implement the verities within this book. A sampling of the topics you'll find covered so well include myth perceptions, mass extinctions, and the upshift to a new civilization by Bruce Lipton, Our Conscious Revolution by Jude Curvan, Awakening the Power of the New Human Story by Greg Braden, Spiritual Traditions and a Path Toward Peace and Harmony by Karan Singh, Upshifting the Future by Charles Eisenstein, The Upshift Path to a New Paradigm World by Annalise Smitsman, An Upshifted Development Path, The Politics of Being by Thomas Legrand, Transforming a Death Economy into a Life Economy by John Perkins, and Healing the World from the Ground Up by Lynn McTaggart. We invite you to look into his two latest books, The Survival Imperative and The Great Upshift. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Robert Atkinson, and thanks to all of you who have joined us for this program, heralding the book, The Great Upshift by Ervin Laszlo and David Lorimer. And we want to remind you again of our invitation to you for another special program, which will be hosted by Unify at unify.org, which features Ervin Laszlo, Deepak Chopra, Greg Braden, Gene Houston, Neil Donald Walsh, Robert Atkinson, and me from the Light on Light Press, Reverend Deborah Moldow, Director of the Evolutionary Leaders, and Tammy Scarlett of Unify and the Upshift Movement. We'll be posting the time and place of that broadcast at our Light on Light website and our Light on Light Press and Light on Light Magazine Facebook pages, and it'll be posted at unify.org, the Unify Facebook pages, and by our colleagues at the Upshift Movement at worldupshift.org. Our thanks to the whole team at the Light on Light Press and at Sacred Stories Publishers and at the Laszlo Institute for New Paradigm Research and the Upshift Movement. We are sure that both the Survival Imperative and the Great Upshift are going to be important books for you. And you'll see more about each of them on the banners that follow directly after this. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for joining the Upshift to the world that we all want to see, which is the world that works for all.